Welcome to MMT Chats. This episode is brought to you by ISCAR with new ideas for machining intelligently. Hey MMT followers, Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology back for another quick MMT Chat. And my guest today is Eve Vitale. She is basically an advocate for promoting careers in plastics and mold making. Eve is the chief executive with the SPE Foundation, which is the Society of Plastic Engineers. And she has a wealth of industry experience, I'm sure. So why don't we start off, Eve, with why don't you share your background and how you ended up with Plastivan, since that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, so plastics, I have no plastics in my background until maybe the last 10 years, which I think happens to a lot of us, right? So
yes,
I am an engineer, a mechanical engineer, and as I was getting my master's in manufacturing during the big crash of 2009, I got involved with plastics at the university where I was studying. I also was employed at the university at the time, working in corporate and foundation development for STEM programs. So that was great.
Okay.
My husband at the time was faculty at this university, and he got a plastics program going, and I was just really excited to learn more about plastics and got involved with SPE. So we were really able to get the students engaged in plastics because they just wanted hands-on experiences in the lab, and that's what my husband excelled at, the faculty there excelled at this university. Over time, we realized we were super interested in sustainability. We started working on projects in plastic sustainability, helping companies, use their post-industrial waste for better and higher purposes. And we left the university and started our own consulting firm in plastic sustainability. And then at the time, Russ Broom from SPE reached out to me and said, hey, I need help with the foundation, with Plastivan. Are you interested? And I said, oh, absolutely not. I'm really happy working in sustainability.
I was expecting you to say that.
Soon, after about 36 hours, I'd always been involved in education. Since the 4th grade, I'd been tutoring other students. And the thought of being able to go out and, get people excited about what we're doing in the plastics industry, get people excited about all of the opportunities. So pretty much no matter what you're interested in, you can find a place in the plastics industry. And so I took on the SPE Foundation. The Plastivan program has a 25-year history. We're in our 25th year.
Okay.
It started in the Plastics Museum 25 years ago. It went to what was formerly known as SPI, and it, with a deal between Bill Carteau and Russ Broom, it was brought in-house to SPE, which I think is really the best place for it because we're all about education here at SPE. Yep. That's part of our main mission. And the mission of, Plastivan is to change the perception of plastics one classroom at a time. Now that's expanded now. We're doing a lot more work besides just the Plastivan program, and maybe we can talk a bit about that. And I think that really will make a difference in also how we can, recruit young people for mold making. It's a program that we've set up that's been very successful. It's showing great success.
I love the focus of hands-on because the past few years, especially since COVID, a lot of talk about training and education. And the one thing that seems to be missing, especially within mold design and engineering, even at the university level, is hands-on experience. So the younger we can start, not just getting excited, but educating with touching and feeling to get a feel for how things are made is so important and so exciting. So I love that about Plastivan and what you guys are doing. So can you talk a little bit about the actual curriculum for the grade schools, the middle school level and the high school level? Take us through that.
Yeah, so we always start out with, natural plastics. Where did it come from? Well, first of all, kids are being inundated with, plastics is bad, right? So the first thing we do in every classroom, every situation, every STEM event is we go in and we tell them, how plastics are impacting their life. And we do that through their cell phone. Have you heard, I always ask, what have you heard about plastics? They're all very sheepish because they don't want to tell the plastics lady, plastics are bad, right? Because that's but then eventually a kid will raise their hand and say, yep, plastics are bad. And I go, yep, that's what we're all hearing. Now, we've also been told that we should get rid of plastics. You know, we need to eliminate plastics in our life. I said, if we want to do that, I need all of you to put your phone in this trash can right now. And I know that's cliche, but for kids who haven't thought about it, they're like, wait, what? Because they don't want to live without their phones. And all of your sporting equipment, every single bit of it goes in the trash can, and you're going to be playing football, you know, without any of that this week. They all of a sudden realize, oh, I need to understand more about this. We do, you know, talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, upcycle too. We're trying to help them overcome their eco anxiety, which they're getting from all, you know, all over. And we do that. We take them through the history of plastics. They get a little excited. We tell cool stories about it, like nylon, how it was, you know, how it was used in World War II, and it's in airbags now. Then we take them through synthetic plastics, Bakelite, and all of the, you know, all of the new plastics. And then we teach them the difference between thermoplastics and thermosets, so we can go into recycling. We talk about it. Hey, if you like chemistry, if you like atoms and molecules, you might want to be, you know, polymer scientists, because they get to play with that stuff. If you like, you know, manufacturing, how many of you have seen how it's made videos? If that's really cool to you, you might want to go into manufacturing. There's just a place for everyone in there. So we talk about processes. And when COVID hit, we were in the middle of creating some manufacturing videos for Plastivan. We were at Ferris State University, you know, taking some video there. That's on hold now, but we'll get back to it. Then we do talk about take action. Some kids get very interested in our industry if they think they can help solve the problem. So we talk about the innovations in chemical recycling, the innovations in biomass, you know, feedstocks, etc. And then we talk about the future of plastics, you know, where we're headed and what kind of help we need from them. So that's very hands-on. Now, one of the programs we're working on right now in a couple different markets, which is Detroit, Florida, and heading to Texas soon, is we are encouraging students to do their own research in a lab from 9 years old through high school. And we can talk more about that, but these are kids who actually get in the lab. This is their extracurricular activity. This is their sport. We're trying to make science and engineering cool. They get in the lab and they pick a project that interests them. They learn the scientific method. They build their skill set that is really complementary to what they're getting in school. Their test scores are much better than average in the local school systems because it's hands-on, like you said. They are gaining a true understanding of, you know, what science and engineering is like. A lot of them are involved with 3D printing. That's the cool thing.
I was going to ask that. Yep.
Yeah, 3D printing, which I think is a great pathway to mold making, right? Because they're using the software necessary. They're using slice software. They're learning all about that. So I think 3D printing is a very important step in getting kids interested in manufacturing and mold making.
I like how you say that. It's the pathway to that, because a lot of times there was that big hype about 3D printers, and all the schools and everybody's local area was investing or getting grant money or getting these printers. And part of me was like, oh man, now these kids are just going to think that products are made by hitting a button, you know, if it's not taught correctly. So it's nice to see it unfold where it's really a good tool in any classroom to kind of suck the kids into the excitement of how technology is advanced. Now, you mentioned the different areas, Texas, Detroit. When you said getting in the lab, what do you mean by that?
So we're working with a community partner called Ecotech Science Lab, and this happened because when COVID hit, you know, we could no longer be in the classroom. We were on schedule to deliver plastics education to 40,000 students in 2020, and of course, like March 12th, it all shut down. So we quickly, you know, transitioned and started developing these Plastivideos, which was like a Plastivan visit, but sort of bigger because we had more time. Right, and we were introduced to a community partner down in Detroit. So this is a gentleman who owns Ecotech Science Lab. It's housed on Wayne State University's campus, and for 15 years, he personally has been bringing students in to do research, you know, whatever interests them. And we developed this partnership because all of the STEM extracurricular resources evaporated out of Detroit at that time because of COVID. We had these video resources. And we came in and we developed this amazing partnership. Now we're doing after school SPE STEM clubs where the kids are going to meet weekly. We thought, okay, we can start with about 5 or 6 clubs in Detroit and Florida, and we have 25 now, which is too many. I mean,
Wow.
my head is exploding most days of the week, but but you know, the administrations and the teachers at the schools are so gung-ho about bringing these opportunities to their students. We've rarely been this welcomed into school systems with plastics education. They're talking about keeping it within their curriculum, so K through 12 are going to be exposed to plastics education for as long as we want to keep the program going.
Wow.
We made a 10-year commitment. So I know I'm getting off track. I get so excited.
No, that's
but
okay. I love it.
one of our students who's doing research down in the lab is creating an adapter with 3D printing as modeling, an adapter for electric vehicles. So I guess I don't have an electric vehicle, but I guess if you go to a charging station, sometimes your plug doesn't fit, you know, into the station.
Just like a cell phone,
So
right?
he thought, well, this is a problem. Let me create a model, a prototype for an adapter for everyone. And he's using 3D printing to do that. He's I think in 11th grade.
Wow.
We're partnering with corporations. So Arkema came in and said, hey, we want to give little research grants to these students. So these kids as young as 8th grade are getting $500 research grants to run their research, and they'll have a product when they're done that has to do with plastics or manufacturing, 3D printing, etc.
It's so meaningful, right? Real life application and meaningful, because that's a natural problem solver right there, which is what the industry needs. That is so exciting. That is so exciting.
I agree. I mean, kids from my time at the university working with students will always gravitate towards what they know and feel comfortable with. So if we can get them comfortable with the technology early on, they'll gravitate towards that. Now, how to do that with, mold making? There's not a lot of mold making in, schools, right? But there's some machining, there's shop classes, there's Project Lead the Way schools. We're working with a school in Detroit right now who they are trying to get their kids on a trades track. And the SPE Automotive Division is now partnered with them through the foundation, and they will be there mentoring them for several years in their shop. We're looking for, partners to figure out a way to really have mentorships for these students, to have internships, even if they're short-term. Get them in our plants and let them, let them see what we're doing. That's what gets kids excited.
Now, is there something, so this is exciting, and it sounds like it's exploded. So is there something, when you mentioned the partnerships, right, that you have, is there something similar about the people that you're connecting with or the schools that makes them want to do this? Like what is it there? What need do they think they're trying to fill?
So we're working with schools who have under-resourced and underrepresented students right now. So in Detroit, it's pretty much 100% Black African-American students. They, as you know, the plastics industry, we don't have a lot of people of diverse backgrounds or representation in the industry. And we all keep looking around at each other. What are we going to do? There aren't enough people in industry. And this is one way. This is like an untapped market. And I didn't realize it until I started working with these schools in Detroit, how hungry they are for this education for their students. We had a big STEM event in July. It was our first in-person thing. We're all masked up, but we had 300 kids come through. Celanese was there, the materials group was there. We had 7 or 8 tables of cool plastics, hands-on stuff for kids to do. One of the teachers brought her students there, and she was talking to me, thanking me for giving them this opportunity. She started to cry and said, our students don't get this opportunity, and they want it. The parents want it. We want it, but we just didn't have a way to make it happen. So the SPE Plastivan, we are all in. It's like I told you, it's like a race of, I don't know, it's crazy.
It sounds like a passion project too. right? A
It's
passion
really,
project.
it's a passion.
And what's funny, not really funny, haha, but I was just a lot of the conversation is workforce, right? So everyone talks about inclusion and diversity in the workforce. We need to do that. When it simply comes down to, I was talking to somebody yesterday, like it's so funny how it's all the semantics, right? When we're really saying is, I was hoping you were going to say that was the target audience because it is an untapped resource.
It
But
is.
we just need a variety. Like for the future of manufacturing, you just need a variety of people to get fresh perspectives on things. And by looking at people, whether it's a different minority group, what women, young people, veterans, African Americans, anybody, a special needs community, anybody that can bring a fresh perspective into manufacturing is a good thing. But we always have to attach these labels to it, which I think is why some people back off and are
Yep.
like, oh, I don't want to get thrown into that. So I'm thrilled that that's the focus because that'll wake up the traditional industry also, Eve. Like, hey, like you want workers? Stop looking in the same places because I don't think they're interested. Let's look at different talent and
Right.
then help in a whole different way. It's
Right.
very exciting. So,
And
how can industry participate? Like, how does somebody watching this, whether it's a shop, whether it's a school, a whole local community, how do they do this?
so I'm gonna, and I know you're familiar with Westminster Tool. I'm
Yeah, oh
gonna,
yeah.
I'm gonna, tout their, they are amazing because they realized, Ray realized, okay, we've got to change the culture here.
Yep.
He didn't just look around and say, hey, I need help. He's like, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And got in
Yep.
there. And we have to stop looking at the next quarter's profits to, we have to make investments. So for us, we are asking right now for our partners to help us sponsor one of these after school SPE STEM clubs because we've hired someone to be in there. We are actually giving the teachers who are the coaches, let's say, a stipend. Like if they were a football coach, they would get a stipend. Why don't
True.
STEM coaches get stipends? So we're committed to doing that. So we're asking for partners to, work with one of these clubs. And that means you will mentor, you will video in and say, hey, this is
Okay.
what we do, this is what we want, what are your questions? They will help facilitate field trips. We've got kids who are, going to go into the plants and take a look around. And, if you've got a manufacturing heart and you don't even know it, like I did, the first time you
Yep.
walk in a plant, you can watch videos. I used to love Mr. Rogers' videos about how he made his
Yeah.
tennis shoes, etc. I didn't even know why. The first time I walked into a manufacturing plant, it's like, oh wow, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
We've got to expose kids to those things. You know, uh, um, we have to, like you said, we're looking in different places. Once I was working on a project with a mold company here in the Detroit area, and he said, we needed CNC operators. And my son was a gamer, and a bunch of his friends were gamers, and they were just laying around, but they have such great eye-hand coordination, and
Yeah.
they can see things in, they can see things
Yes.
3D because they're always, down in the caves or whatever they do. We got to look there. He
Yeah.
said they make the best CNC
Yeah.
operators.
Exactly.
We just have to start looking in different places.
Different places. So should
So yeah,
people connect with you? Do you want to give out your contact information?
absolutely. Do I just give it out here?
Yeah, just say
A
it. Yeah,
video?
I'll attach it into the information on the video. But yeah, just say it. How should
Yeah,
people reach out?
my phone number. I probably shouldn't get my phone number. My email. You can email me at foundation at four. That's the number four spe.org. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. We are moving to Texas next. We've got some
Nice.
in polymer country there.
Yeah.
And we have some opportunities around the world, actually. We did a program down in Africa on marine
Wow.
debris. That's different than mold making, but
Yeah.
now that we have video resources, we can go all over the world. But what we're really interested in, and I think what could really help mold making is in your own community, do what Ray did. He
Yeah.
started a conversation in his own community, and we can help you with those conversations. Find a community partner, and then put some resources into being there for these students so that they can understand what you're doing, get excited about it, and then make them part of your community. So, we have to change our attitudes about young people.
Yeah. I agree. I
You
agree
know,
with that. Do you have a particular student, we'll say? Is there a particular between you and Mark, too, of the group, that it's been so inspiring? Somebody that maybe wasn't interested and Plastivan itself just turned them around, the whole experience?
Yeah, so we have relationships with some of our schools that go back decades because the teachers recognize the value of what we're offering, the value in the industry because they've heard Plastivan year after year after year. So, you know, they're our biggest advocates. And there is a teacher up in Bay City, Michigan at John Glenn, Sandy Schaefer, and she always brings us in. And I was at Ferris, you know, right before COVID, I think it was the fall of 19, and I was doing some Plastivan for their SPE chapter there because we have some strong student chapters like at Ferris and Penn State Barron and Penn College. And I said, hey, did anyone in here, you know, ever see Plastivan? And this one young man raised his hand. He was from John Glenn in Bay City, and he said, yep, I had no clue. Plastivan came in, and now I'm in, you know, plastics engineering technology program here at Ferris State University. So, I mean, we have not been able to capture that data very well because we don't follow the kids. Now, the programs we're working on in Detroit and Florida, and will be soon in Texas, we're going to keep longitudinal data. We are going to track, you know, how our programs help them. But this one was just like a gem, right? It was like a gift, like, see, it works, you know, and he's here and he's going to be in the industry. So Plastivan works not only to get people in industry, but to help students realize plastics are not the enemy, you know.
Exactly.
The plastics are not the enemy. Plastics are, you know, super important for our lifestyle. Sure, we have some issues. We're all willing to accept those. We're working on them. Join us in our, you know, in our work to make the world better through plastics.
Yeah, to make it better. What would you say? What would you say in this whole journey? What has been and what remains to be like your top challenge into moving this forward?
I don't want this to feel like a sales pitch, but it really is getting, you know, companies and corporations on board to, you know, I hear all the time from them, oh, you know, I've got this huge problem with workforce. It's like, then let's make a plan and put the work in. Okay, the work is time. We need some people who are willing to talk to students, who are willing to spend time training students in your own, you know, in your own environment, and we need some cash to make this happen. You know, this education is not free. It utilizes our resources, and the SP Foundation is a nonprofit, of course, but that doesn't mean we don't need revenue to, you know, go out and deliver the program. So we need partners who are ready to make a difference. You know?
I don't believe that's a sales pitch. I believe that's just that cry for help, you know, this call to action, because we are a community. All of us are saying we're always a community, right? So we need to come together. And I agree with you. Everybody does, we get into that rut of everybody does a lot of talking and no one is actually doing something to be part of a solution. And I think this is a solution, at least getting some companies to put them in the right direction and make it happen. I mean, acting locally is the best thing you can do in so many elements of your life, right? Just start small, start local, and reach out to Eve, people that are watching this, and let's get this started. And there'll be stories to tell. If your shop is involved, MoldMaking would be love to have a mold making story come out of this. You know, we need to share those stories and get people, those next generations excited. So thank you, Eve, for your time today. I think it's a great mission you're on, this passion project, the whole group. If you ever need any help, we are always willing to help share that story. And I think we need to do that more, even on the trade press side of things. So thank you for spending this time with me today.
I really appreciate your time too. This has been wonderful. I was a little nervous, but I get so excited about what we're doing that, you know, that.
See, and that shows, and that makes the nerves go away. So I always say that, talk to people about what they have a passion about, and it makes for a much more interesting conversation. So thank you. And to everybody watching, remember, for everything mold making, visit moldmakingtechnology.com. Stay safe and healthy, and more importantly, stay informed and stay inspired.